Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, I've got one of my favorite new DJI drones with me today, the DJI Mini 4K, or as I've named mine after my friend Ron Brown, the Ron Mini 4K. And what I want to talk about today is gain and expo setting. With gain and expo settings, you're going to be able to control how your drone reacts to control inputs from your RC. Why is that important? Well, you want to get good cinematic footage. So, for instance, if you're yawing the drone, you don't want it to turn too fast. You want to do it in such a way that you can get some cinematic shots. Same thing with the gimbal on the front. You don't want it just to point up or point down. You want to be able to move in a slow, reasonable fashion so that you can get some good cinematic video, I guess is what I'm talking about mostly here. And so it's actually pretty simple to do, and DJI gives us the ability to do that in the Fly app. And recently, Billy Kyle put out a video that explained all of the Expo settings kind of top to bottom. So with that in mind, I actually copied down some of Billy's settings that he recommends, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the settings on my Mini 4K within the Fly app on my iPhone. And I'm going to take you guys with me while I do it so you can see I haven't changed any of the settings from factory, so you can see where they're set in the factory and Billy's recommended changes. So I'll take it out in the field and I'll give you my impressions on how it helps the drone handle and how it helps me get better video and just have a better overall experience with the drone. So to do that, I'm going to have the drone turned on. I'm not even going to unfold it now. One of the things that I want to warn you about is this drone does not have any kind of fan or any kind of cooling in it. So you want to make sure you've got the drone in a cool place, not sitting in the direct sun. You may even want to take a fan and put it on the drone while it's just static, just sitting there. It typically requires it to be moving through the air for cooling, but we're not going to have the video on or anything like that. So anyway, I will just turn it on. Again, I'm not even going to unfold it and leave it sitting on the desk to do this. And then, of course, you've got to get hooked up to your RCN1 controller. Or excuse me, yeah, this is the RCN2 controller, I believe. No, RCN1. I get them confused. RCN1 controller. And so I've got it plugged into my iPhone here. Now, typically my iPhone is in the case right now. Typically, I would take the case off while you have it hooked up just for cooling, if nothing else. But for this purposes of this video, we're inside and it's air conditioning. I'm just leaving the case right on it. I don't even have the sticks hooked up. This is all going to be on the app. Okay, I've got the drone fired up and the controller all fired up here, and a screen recorder started so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to click on Go Fly, and you're going to see me looking down here while I'm doing this. But yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the three dots in the top right to get into the settings menu. We're going to want to go to Control. It's the second tab over. Clicking on Control, and you'll see down there towards the bottom of the screen, it says Gain and Expo Tuning. And that, like they're explaining here, fine-tunes gain and expo settings for the aircraft and gimbal. So let's go ahead and hit that. And yeah, so we're right in. As you can see, it's got three tabs on it. Cine mode. Now that's the slow mode. That's when you're trying to really slow everything down. I got to be honest with you, that's all slowed down. I'm not going to mess with that. The ones I'm more interested in are the normal mode and sport mode. For the purposes of this video, we're going to focus on normal mode because that's the one that you're going to use more often. So the first thing you see there is the max angular velocity. Well, what is that? That is basically how quick the drone yaws, right? So that's an interesting one because you want it to be slow enough that you can get some good cinematic video, but you want it to be fast enough so that you can maneuver. So from the factory, and I haven't touched these factory settings, it's set at 60 degrees per second. That's pretty quick. We're going to change it to, Billy is recommending 50, and that'll just slow down that yaw a little bit. So let's go ahead and move that down to 50. There's 50 degrees right there. That'll slow down that yaw motion. So the next one is yaw smoothness. And what are they talking about there? They're talking about how quickly, in other words, the drone starts its yaw. You don't want to just let go of the stick and it just comes to an instant stop. You want it come to start slowly, or start smoothly and stop smoothly. So you have a little bit of overrun when you set that. So yaw smoothness, Billy is recommending a setting of 20. It's saying on here a higher value indicates a smoother yaw motion of the aircraft when pushing the yaw stick to the left or right. So just as I explained it, and it says the range extends from 0 to 100. Billy is recommending 20, and as you can see, it's set on 4 now. So that'll be just a little more overrun when you let go of that stick. So I'm going to crank it up to 20. There's 20. And let's move on down. So now we get down to Expo settings. So the Expo settings are going to affect the gimbal sticks. In other words, say for instance in your car, you don't want to just touch on the gas pedal and it goes to full throttle immediately. It's the same thing on the sticks. You want it to ease into that. And so the adjustments is you're going to move it a little bit. You don't want it to instantly give it a lot of throttle or a lot of turn or whatever it is you're doing. So this kind of eases it in. And Billy's got some settings recommended for that too. So the first one, pitch and roll, it's pretty quick on here. Billy is saying to move it down to 25. So I'm going to do that, get it down to 25. And then the next one is yaw. So in other words, when you move that left stick, how quickly does that input start making the drone move? And he's recommending just 20 on that one. So I'm going to move that one down. So he's slowing down the input on the sticks so that you can move into them more slowly and more smoothly. And then up and down is obviously how the gaining in altitude or dropping in altitude. In other words, when you move that stick up or down, how quickly do you want it to start moving? And he's recommending 25 on that. It's 40 from the factory here, so we're going to move that down to 25. And I can't wait to get out and try that out. So the next settings here is how fast your gimbal moves. So the gimbal on the front of the drone, how fast it moves up and down. And then tilt smoothness is, again, just like we were talking about with the yaw, it's how quickly it comes to a stop. In other words, you wouldn't want to let go of that scroll wheel and it just stops instantly. That wouldn't look natural. You want it to kind of ease to a stop. Same thing on the start. You don't want it to just instantly move quickly. You want it to kind of roll into that speed. So the first one, tilt speed, it comes from the factory at 30 degrees, and Billy is saying to slow it way down to about 10 degrees per second. So we're going to crank that way down there. I have a feeling I probably personally might want it a little faster than that, but that's how Billy gets those smooth movements on his gimbal. Now, tilt smoothness, that overrun we were talking about, and I can see how at a slower speed you might want that to have a little more overrun. He's saying to move that all the way up to 20. It's on 5 from the factory. So we're going to go all the way up to 20 here. And what that means is when you let go of that stick, it's going to keep moving for just a second. And it'll take it just a second to get up to speed as soon as you hit that roller. That's going to give you really good granular control on controlling your gimbal. So I'm anxious to see how all that turns out. So if you look on the bottom there, it's got a line that says reset current settings, and that'll take you back to the factory settings. That way you don't, if you want it all back to the way it came from the factory, just hit that button and it'll do it. Okay, I'm going to shut everything down here, and then let's get out in the field, and I'm going to try this out. And I'm just going to give you my impressions on what those changes to those settings, if I feel I have better control, or what I may want to change. Hey, okay, I found a nice shady spot here over at the schoolyard not far from my house. And I got, as you can see, I've already got the drone up in the air. In fact, that's what I'm recording this with, is the drone. So I'm all set up here. If you see the little white patch on the back of my phone here, That's one of those little medical gel packs that I put on the back to help keep my iPhone cool while I'm flying in hot weather. It's fairly warm today. It's in the mid-90s, so that's why I needed that shady spot. So, so let's quit messing around. You know, I always do a droney first, so let's see how this drone with those new settings reacts to a droney. So reversing up now, reverse and up, and very smooth, and dropping that camera down as I go. And I did notice a difference in the speed of how quickly the gimbal reacted. But yeah, it did just fine. So yeah, let me give you a quick look around here. So this is pretty, not too far from my house here. It's a schoolyard, kind of a convenient place for me to do these kind of flights. I'm going to yaw around here and show you a couple things. And in fact, I'm kind of doing this turn here. Kind of helps me out with that yaw a little bit, get a feeling for that yaw. Looking off in the distance here, you can see we must have a pretty good fire over there in the Boise foothills. And I saw some fire fighting air tankers heading that way just a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, so anyway, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, you can't even see the Boise foothills for the smoke. Where I'm at here, I'm not, the smoke must be going the other way, but definitely too bad. So we're always thankful for those first responders that protect lives and property in situations like that. But enough of that. Let's see if we can try some stuff out with this with the controls on this drone. And again, this is very subjective. This is my opinion only. You may feel completely different with your drone. But flying over to the cell phone tower here, people give me a hard time about flying close to a cell phone tower. They say, oh, it's going to affect your signal on your drone. I don't know, seems to do just fine with this little drone. But one of the reasons that it's kind of handy is that you can try things like this. So doing a manual orbit requires the yaw to be controllable, and all the bank to be controllable, etc. So all of those gain and expo settings that we set will affect this. So I'm going to start first with a yaw to the drone's right, and let me see if I can keep that cell phone tower in center of frame. And you know what? It is better. It's super easy, because definitely slowed down that. Slow down the yaw speed, so I'm not moving the gimbal as much to keep it in speed there. Now I do see that I'm kind of I was moving in distance away, so I'm kind of moving moving back into the instead of I'm pulling out more than I want to, so I'm trying to move the drone into with the throttle. So that wasn't perfect, but I can tell you that the yaw made it was definitely slowed down there. So let's see if we can go the other way here. So I'm going to push the right stick to the left and the left stick to the right, and let's see if we can do a little better this time. So one of the things that when you're doing this is it's easy to cross couple. So evidently, when I was doing that before, I was pulling away somewhat from the center, or maybe I didn't even start on center, because, like in this case, you can see I'm moving further away from it. So I'm trying to push up on that right stick and moving it to the left at the same time, and that kind of helped us. But that's you know, something that you need to practice with. But yeah, I can say overall, I liked, particularly slowing down that yaw helps quite a bit. So let's move in closer here, and I'm going to center right up on the cell phone tower here. In fact, let's get to the other side where it's a little brighter, and you'll get a better view. So this is me just doing the same thing, but a lot faster this time. I'm at pretty much full throttle in normal mode. So we get to the side with the sun at the back here, so you'll be able to see a little better. And I don't know if you can hear it, but I hear an aircraft, and he's way off in the distance, but another air tanker. So there's a bunch of smoke coming up there in the foothills. Well, you're looking at it right now. So anyway, let's get in closer here. And I'm going to drop down a little bit, and I'm going to kind of center on the cell phone tower, and I'm going to show you how quickly the yaw responds. So I'm going to pull the left stick full to the left right now. And you can see that it took it a second to get up to speed, just a fraction of a second for it to get up to speed. And then it took off. So, and we slowed the overall speed down from when it came from the factory. So let's try that again, but let's go to the right. So I'm going to push that left stick full to the right now. And you can see it took it a second. I'm just going to do a full orbit here. And so you can see at that setting how fast that the drone moved that direction. So that was the max angular velocity at 50 degrees per second there. So you can even slow that down. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. So let's just go in and do that now. When we're already on that page, so I'm going to go to the top here. Max angular velocity. I'm going to slow it down. Let's put it at 40, and I'm going to see if I like that a little better. And again, I'm going to try and do another orbit here. And you know, I've slowed it down by about a fifth. Again, I'm kind of moving away from the, trying to move back in on it now, but moving away from the, from our target just a little bit. But yeah, I think I do like it a little bit slower. So let me show you that real quick. So I moved it down to 40. And I can't remember what our factory setting was. Let's move it back in here, get closer. So I am centered up on the cell phone tower right now. I'm going to move the stick full to the left. Well, yeah, full to the left, and let's show you that speed. So full to the left. Yeah, and that's slowed it down a pretty fair amount. And you know, honestly, that's fast enough for me. I don't need my yaw to be any faster than that. And in fact, I may even slow it down. In fact, that's the other thing I can show you here. And I noticed that when I came to a stop, I'd let that, you know, when we looked at the yaw smoothness, how quickly it comes to a stop, we set it at 20 there. And I can't remember where it was at from the factory, but let me just show you. I'm going to go full throttle to the left again, and then I'm going to let off the throttle, let off the stick immediately when I get the cell phone tower in center of frame, and you can see how much overrun that creates. So full to the left, boom, let go of it, and you can see it overran that far, and that's so that you get a nice smooth yaw. You wouldn't want it come to a full stop real quickly. That wouldn't be very cinematic. Okay, I've got something else that I want to try here, because one of the things that we were talking about is the how quickly you can move the gimbal up and down, right? So let's do that. Let's get right over the top of the cell phone tower here. And one of my favorite moves is to rotate. So let's get right over the top. See if I can get down here a little ways, and see if I can center up on the cell phone tower. And that looks like I'm really close to the tower. I'm not. I'm looking up at the drone right now. It is not that close to the tower. So, but anyway, let's move. See if we can move right over the top of it here. And this may be difficult to do in sport mode, but we're going to try it. I'm going to see if I can center right up. This is probably where I'd want to be in cine mode, but I want to try the, this will tell me how well those gimbal settings work in conjunction with the yaw settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the left stick up and to the left at about a 45-degree angle, and the drone will gain in altitude and turn at the same time. And then I'm going to try and lift the camera with the scroll wheel and give you a reveal. So let's try that right now. So we're doing, yeah, this is pretty good. I'm getting a nice controllable situation here, and I'm pushing harder and harder on that scroll wheel to give you a reveal, and pulled it a little bit harder here as we go around, and there's your reveal of the school. Start right there. I probably went a little bit too high there, should have stayed more with the rule of thirds. Boy, you can see that we got a lot of smoke in the area here. So yeah, I mean, overall, I would say that's quite good. So I'm going to give you an idea of how fast how we change the gimbal speed. So again, we're right here on top of the cell phone tower. I'm just going to push the scroll wheel straight up. We've got the camera pointed 90 degrees down. I'm going to push the scroll wheel full all the way straight up, and you will see how fast it picks up that camera right now. So you can see that is a fairly, that slows down that gimbal quite a bit. And that's probably about right. I might speed it up just a little bit. In fact, I am going to speed it up. I would probably prefer that to be a little bit faster. So I'm going to go back down here, and Billy had it all the way down at 10. I think factory it's at 30 if I remember correctly. I'm going to move it up to, let's move it up to 20. And that might be better for what I'm doing. So let's try that again. Okay, so I pushed it straight down. I used the function button to do that. So again, I'm going to roll that gimbal wheel straight up, and we doubled the speed. So let's see here. Yeah, see, that's probably more my speed, maybe a little bit fast. So you can see all the stock settings are real fast. I'm going to move it down to about 15, I think, because like I said, Billy recommended 10. Yeah, and definitely you can see at stock it's way too fast. So okay, I guess that's about what we wanted to do here. It kind of gives you an idea of how those settings work and what it'll do for you. And I'll publish in the description below. I'll publish what well, you guys saw it in the video, but I'll publish what Billy's settings were. And you can decide if that's something that works for you. Hey, okay, so you can see how I changed the settings from what Billy Kyle recommended, and so it's going to be personalized. It's going to be what works for you. So don't be afraid to mess around with those settings and get it just how you want it. It's interesting to see the difference between how it came from the factory. I think Billy was on the right track, and if you watch his videos, he gets really smooth videos. I'm going to put a link to Bill's video in the description down below. And yeah, I hope this helped you. The DJI Mini 4K, great little drone. I'm having a lot of fun with this little guy at $299. Again, to me, it's just a steal. And because you saw the kind of video we did, shooting 4K video, etc. But anyway, that's about it. Enough jibber jabber. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. Now I get to ride my little scooter around here. Kind of handy. See you guys later.